Hello explorers and welcome to another video. Today we are going to do some vibe coding with Claude Code. And I'm gonna show you how it's set up in a way that I'm using it at the moment. I'm not sure if that is the best way of doing it, but so far I have created two applications that actually works pretty well and helps me in my workflow. So now I'm gonna build my third one. This is one that I already have a solution for, but I will want to improve on it. I want to make it into a web page so it can be a little bit easier to work with. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a flow that I already have that creates a PowerPoint that I'm using to talk about the new Java releases. But I want to have it as a web page and a presentation layer so I don't have to use the PowerPoint at all, because the PowerPoint interface is extremely cumbersome to use. So I just want something plain, easy, and so on. And I think this project is so easy that it should not be possible to fail, but who knows? Let's see if we can do something here. So let's switch over to my screen, and here I have Claude Code on a machine. I pretty much follow the instruction how to install Claude Code from the Anthropic's webpage, and it's just running one command and then you have Claude. So you have this Claude command that you can run, and I have this presentation directory, and in this directory I already have the old solution because I wanted to take inspiration from it. Moreover, I have a directory called personas where I have put my different personas, and these are people pretty much, or the different agents that could work for me. So I have an analyst, I have a graphical designer, I have an accessibility reviewer, a code reviewer, a solution architect, a technical writer, and a web developer. And before we start here, we need to set up a couple of more things. First off, I wanted to use Serena, which is pretty much an IDE kind of thing for Claude Code, so it can find your code and work with your code without using that many tokens, because you are paying for the tokens. So first you install UV, and I have all that already installed, so I don't need to install that again. And then you can run UVX with the Serena and run help to see that it's actually updated and running on your system, and then you get some help pages from this Serena. And when you have done that, you can add it to Claude as an MCP. So you're running Claude NCP, add Serena and UVX and the Serena project, and now it's added to this project in my Claude Code JS, so it's available here. Another thing that I want to add is OpenSpec. First off, you can install it by like this, sudo and then Fission AI OpenSpec. And OpenSpec is a way of creating different larger pieces and specifying those with tasks. So the Claude Code interface has a couple of very separated defined tasks to work with. So it will create something that is that it will look at and then create specification, and after the specification it will proposal, and then it will create a design, then a specification, and last but not least it will create a couple of tasks and then implement. We're going to do a similar process but for the whole project. But in order to use OpenSpec, we will run init here. So that means that we have the OpenSpec tools available in our system, and we will choose Claude Code as the one that we want to install and tab to confirm, and now we have that. So now we will have a directory called OpenSpec as well in this directory. Next up, I will go into Claude, and in Claude here we can say that we trust this folder, and we will get to this interface. And in this interface we can run init, so it will look at the current directory and figure out what's here already and what can I use and so on. And we see that I'm already at almost my limit. I'm used up 79% of my weekly limit, so I will be required to run this next week, but my weekly limits are reset pretty soon anyway, so that's fine. I think they will be reset tomorrow, so that's not much to that. And what we're going to start working with is an analyst. And an analyst I have created in the system by going to Claude and giving it an information that it should create this. So I've told it, create a system prompt document for a requirements analyst and gather information and ask questions to produce a requirements MD document that a solution architect can use to design the solution and plan the implementation. So that's what we are saying here. So now that it has gone through and looked at my project here, it has created a Claude MD with a bunch of information about this project. So let's save that so it knows about how this project is constructed and more about it. And if you in the future want, you can reset this in it. This is something, a short document that will be added to every Claude session so it knows more about it. So it has created something that is available here, and an architecture overview and a call out for JEP and a scraper and brief notes for personas and OpenSpec directories. So if I quit this now we could resume this session, but I want to do that. We want to start the analyst session. Then you run Claude Code or Claude with the system prompt file analyst. So this was the markdown file that was created by the system prompt that I just said. So it will give you a document back that is a pretty long, hefty one. We could look at it. So it should be in personas analyst, and we see here that it's a very long document with a lot of information. So if we do that, we start it with this analyst. I haven't read through everything about this analyst, but I read through some of it and it looks like a really good document to tell it what to do. So if we run the system prompt file here with analyst, it will start it up as that persona. So now I can say, who are you? And it will look at that file and figure out what is it capable of, pretty much. So you could pretty much talk with it as you do in English. I'm Claude Code, and so on. And here we see that you are a requirements analyst and focus on eliciting requirements, documented specification, bridging business and technical. So what can I help you with today? Start with a new feature or change, problem to explore, and so on. Let me see what you're working on. So we see here, we already have an implementation of the solution in this directory written in Python, but it will create a PowerPoint presentation, and that is not so easy to display on the web in a good manner. I want a web-based solution for fetching and refining data and creating a presentation so I can enter a view mode and go through a bunch of slides in order to talk about Java, JEPs, and some examples. And we also want, let's see here, I want it to scrape the YEP information and create a title page for both the full presentation and each YEP in turn. We should have an interface to edit the information and add example slides in between to exemplify the YEPs. So I think that is a pretty good first description of this, and now it will ask me a couple of questions. So let's start there and see what will it ask me if I written out that explanation of my solution. And another thing, I've already said to my other agents what kind of languages I prefer and so on. So when it actually comes to that, it will suggest those kind of things. But now it's more of an open view. What do you want to accomplish? So here we have a bunch of things now. Great, we have a good high-level picture. Let me ask some focus question. Make sure we capture everything before writing a specification. I'll group them logically so you can work through them efficiently. Do you have a preference of a front-end framework? React, Vue, Plain.js, and so on. So here I would say I want Plain.js and HTML and CSS. I know that there is a small library to view slides that we could reuse, but refrain from adding too many dependencies. No npm or similar package managers. So that's the first question. Whoops. What happened? So that's the first one. So you could answer them one by one or answer multiple if you want. Now I just answered one, so see if it asks the other ones. So now it will ask 2 and 3, 4. Since we're keeping it simple, do you want a lightweight Python backend, Flask or Fast API to handle scraping, serve the API, or do you prefer the Node.js server? Currently, PHP is installed on the machine. Let's see, even PHP for 8.4, so I prefer to use it for the scraping and similar back-end tasks. What did we have more? That was number 2. We have 3. Should the presentation be saved between sessions, or is it acceptable to rescrape and rebuild each time you open the application? We can have some simple saving mechanism to an SQLite database, for instance. if saved, are you happy with a simple JSON file on disk or served by the backend? So I answered both of those questions. 9, for editing, do you prefer editing line by line on slide preview itself or a side panel form that updates the slide? I want a list of slides for overview and a small edit pane for details. Let's see here. 10, for example, slides between YEPs, what content goes on them, code snippets, free text images, only code snippets, I would say. If syntax highlighting is easy, add it, but it should be low priority. Is it a local on machine only? Does it accessible over the network? Will be hosted on this machine that has cache already installed and a new vhosts will be added. Let's see if we can get it further. Now we have answered all those questions. Perhaps we will get more questions now, or maybe it will create a requirements documentation. Let's see how far we get here. Okay, we get more. Last round. Let's see. Slides library. You mentioned a small library. Did you have Reveal.js in mind, loaded via CNN script tag, or another one? Don't know the name, but Reveal could be a good starting point if not working. The best. I'm doing all the best English words now. In the future, we will replace it. Let's see. What do we have more? Can you have multiple presentations saved at the same time, 24, 25, or switch between them, or is it exactly one active presentation? I will only do one active presentation. We will only have one active presentation that we work on at a time. For the slide list view, is it a left sidebar showing thumbnails or just a list of slide titles that you can click and jump to? For the slide list view, yeah, left sidebar with titles is enough. For examples, brief part of the code snippet could be used. When you add an example slide, where does it go after a specific YEP slide? A button add slide after this YEP, or inserted anywhere. All examples should be connected to a YEP, so after is fine. Can example slides be reordered or deleted? Yes, reordering and deleting should be possible. Each YEP slide beyond title and number. What else should be shown? E.g. the summary description, status, author, or keep it minimal, title, number only. It should have YEP and a number, and the subtitle should be what the YEP is about. I guess you call that title. View mode, full screen with keyboard navigation, arrow keys, any need for a progress bar or slide counter. Single user, only, no authentication. Single user, no auth, and arrow keys is great for navigation. Counter could be added, low priority. There we go. Now we have described even more. So let's see if we get a requirements MD here. Perfect. Everything you need. Let's write a full requirements documentation now. And we are back. Now it has written it. So first off, we have now requirements here with 399 lines. It has written front-end information, back-end information, SQLite storage for it, the slides, typical slides, and then we have editor, it's left sidebar, view, and then hosting. And then it has a couple of more questions here, extra. If you delete the YEP slide, should its example slides be deleted too? Cascade delete. Should the scraping preserve manual edited examples or always start fresh? Should the visual theme match the existing orange and white style from the... Let me answer the questions above. Yes. No. Don't delete slides. I can do that. Each slide should be stand alone. Scraping should empty list and re-add slides. Ask before doing. Keep the design as before with the same color. As you see here, what did it say? Presentation title. So the presentation title screen should have the Java version as large title and subtitle as in the current solution. Should show release date and a subtitle that I will provide in the interface. Let's see. Now it will go through and add those requirements to the document. So we will make it even clearer. So Now it will go through and update the requirements document, so we will have clear answers to those questions. And now we are back, and it has done those changes up here. So it has, it explains what it did for changes here, and I can see that all of the changes are good now. So let's quit out here. For now, that document is done. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go and work with the solution architect. So now let's open that persona and look at what capabilities we have there. So one thing that you need to keep in mind is if you type /context here, it will tell you what's in the context at the moment. So it has information about these commands for OpenSpec and so on. And it also has a couple of other things. It has those tokens in the Claude MD and so on. So we see that we're already using 12K of our context. And this is what will be sent to Claude, the Claude model. It only has 200,000 tokens. So if we go past more than half of that, so above 100,000 tokens, then we should probably restart the interface. It will do some cleanup, but sometimes it doesn't really work that well. So we should not keep too much in the context at the time. So now we have this worker here. So let's see this. Who are you? And see what we get for answer here. And so I'm a solution architect, analyze documents and so on for this JDCode presentation generator. Would you like me to read and begin the architecture design process? Yes, please. If I could type correctly, but it probably will understand me even if I did a little typo. It doesn't really matter. It's not like the old, when you're doing those kind of text adventure where you needed to type the string exactly correct or else it wouldn't understand what you said. Pick up hammer, put hammer in bowl and so on. Those old adventure games was really hard to work with because you needed to have exact phrasing what they were expecting. Let's see here. So it has excellent requirement document, very thorough, well resolved. Let me present my understanding and then ask a few focused questions. Scrapes YEP data, stores a single active presentation, editor mode, sidebar, edit pane, 3 slide types, title YEP, code example, add, delete, reorder, view mode, full screen, reveal, slideshow, narrow arrow key navigation, visual theme, matches the existing tool, orange and white, Alpha Slab, and stack the PHP 8.4. Yeah, everything looks fine there. So 2 questions, and it has written 4. Okay. Page architecture, editor view. Should the editor and view be a separate pages, editor and view, with normal link between them, or a single page that switches mode without a full navigation? Separate pages. 1. Q1. Separate pages. Autosave versus explicit save button. Either blur change or via explicit save button. Do you have a preference? Autosave on blur. Field saves when you click away. Fields fluid. No button needed. Explicit save. Q2. Blur save. Q3. PHP API style, single API dispatcher, all AX calls go through which an action parameter, separate files per concern, API scrape, slides, presentation, cleaner separation, but more files. Let's go with option B. I could have easily done the first one, but we will separate it a bit so it will be easier to read, because this will be such a small project anyway. Q4 requirements list for code blocks. Sphere code requires a CDN load Google fonts given the two external libraries constraint reveal being one. Shall the Google fonts is fine as extra CDN calls. Once you answer these, produce a complete specification. Yes. So that was pretty painless. Usually the solution architect asks these questions like multiple tier questions. You get question 1, do you want this, this, or this? And you just choose them in a list. And then it asks, do you want this, this, or this? And then you choose that in a list, and so on. So usually it does like that. Now it just showed me all the questions, and then I could answer them pretty much. Probably because this project was so easy, it didn't have more than 4 questions. So it didn't need to use that other kind of interface. I think that is a pretty interesting way of representing this kind of things. And we are back, and we have a full here written specification of 1,000 lines, and it has 13 different sections, and it still has a couple of questions here. So first off, it asks about reveal, if we want to get it from Cloudflare. Could we install? No. Yes. Pin it from Cloudflare. Should be fine. Maybe we will just replace it with a single JS file in the future. If we could download a version as a single file, that could be a solution to easier for offline work. The presentation DB could be in the project directory. I think we should at least have the www and var and docs. No, docs is not, it's just for me. And var directory in project, so we can separate these. Perhaps even include directory for extra files or templates. Functions / classes or templates. So that's a difference in the structure. So now it will refine the document even more. And we are back. And now we have a clear project structure here with everything that should be included. And it should be downloaded vendor local and so on. And we also have the include directory here. We have the DB directory over here. So this looks like a small, clean little project. So we are done with the architect. So now we can check the context just to show you that it actually builds up. So here we now have a context of 61, but as we are choosing a different persona, I will go out anyway. So next up, we have more personas that we can go through. We could do an accessibility reviewer, but this is an internal tool, so I don't really need that. The graphical designer is something that I want to look into now. It's looking at more how look and feel, how the interface is. And then we could have a technical writer. We could have a web. Technical writer is just writing documentation. I don't need that. So what we're going to work with later on is the web developer and the code reviewer. And the solutions architect that we worked with now, the prompt for that was create the system prompt for a Claude Code CLI tool, telling it is a solution architect and giving it instructions to read the requirements MD document, then engage with the user to design a solution and plan the implementation, producing a specification document to be used along with the OpenSpec tool to implement the solution. So the graphical designer now create a system prompt document for Claude Code CLI tool, telling it is a graphical designer and giving it instructions to read the requirements document and specification document, then engage with the user and improve the design from a graphical point of view, handling colors, placements, and other important considerations to the specification, so it can be implemented without ambiguity. So that is what we are doing with the graphical designer. So who are you? So let's see how we can start this process. And I think after we have created the specification for this project, I'm not going to do the accessibility reviewer. So before we start implementing, I think this video is pretty much ending, or else it will be super long. So I'm Claude Code, I'm trying to pick graphical designer mode. We focus on ensuring the software specifications are complete and unambiguous and implementation ready from a visual design perspective. So color management system, typography, and so on. Would you like me to start? Yes, please. And then we're gonna wait for a while because it needs to read everything. And we are here now. So now it has gone through and looked at everything here and have a bunch of different questions about font sizes and so on. And I suggest to work through and go through them in order. Yeah. So before we got 7 questions here about font sizes, and I went through all of them and looked at the different answers and choose a couple of them, and then we typed in AACABAB as the answers for those. Excellent. And then we got a summation on what we wanted. 1 flag before I write these specs. Okay, so that was the only thing that it wanted to answer. Okay. Question 2 and 3 are both landed at 5. So the release date and custom subtitle will be the same side. Won't have a size-based visual distinction between the bottom 2 lines. It's fine if you're happy they're equal. Different by roboto weight. Yeah, that's fine. Let's go for B. So now to the next section. Slide content vertical alignment. This is a decision to high visual impact across all slides. Question is, where does the text block sit on the orange slide? Vertically centered, aligned, upper center, start 20% down. This matches the Python behavior exactly, calculates top slide bottom. Feels more like a traditional slide deck, heavier weight at the top. See-through center with a left-aligned content block. With alignment you want, A is vertically centered, left-aligned, matches Python tool, B upper center, left-aligned, or C just horizontal and vertical aligned. Yeah, let's go with B. Change it up a little bit, but still having it visually correct. So this is more traditional, so I feel that is a good choice. Let's see, upper center, left aligned, that also means that we could change the real JS config from center true to center false, otherwise it will override our positioning. How far from the top should the content block start? So let's go for the classic again, B. So it's balanced classes, upper third feel. And now to the next one. Vertical alignment is locked. Two small assumptions that are made need confirmation. Assumption 1, horizontal padding. I've written padding left 8, right 8 for slide content. The Titan totals had 0.6 inches. Rounded up slightly for the web does 8% feel right. Would you prefer 6 tighter matches Python tool or 10 more generous breathing room? Yeah, so that's fine. Assumption 2, the code, so example slide top padding. I gave the code slides a reduced top padding of 5% instead of 20, so the title sits near the top and the code blocks gets maximum vertical space. Both assumptions sounds good. And now next we are talking about group 1, primary actions, generate or present. These live in the header, so they can stand out from the orange color style, okay? White background, orange text. Generate bright, clean, high contrast. Dark background, white text. Bold, strong contrast. Okay. White outlined, white text, elegant, lighter feel. Generate, present, okay? So I would say B. White, orange text. No, I don't like that at all. Which border radius? Slightly rounded, gently rounded, or pill-shaped? Not pill-shaped. Let's go gently rounded. And now the next question, white text border radius, follow-up question, hover state, what happens when your mouse generates present, background lightens, subtle lift, box shadow appears, feels like it rises, both lightens and shadows. Let's go for a little bit of a lighter button. That sounds fine. Another question. Let's see. Button group 2. Sidebar microcontrols. Up, down, X. Example. Style for up, down, delete. Icon only. No background, white text. Just hover effect. Okay. Small pill with semi-transparent background, always visible, white text. Transparent white text, hover turns, red, white background. Let's go for icon only. Add example, button, yep, items. Small white text, small white outline button, white text, small plain text link, example right, underline hover, small dark pill as primary buttons but smaller padding. Let's keep it answer as 2 letters. Yeah. Small white outline buttons, white text. More good questions. Let's see. Button 3 group, confirmation model buttons, confirm console. Confirm button, orange background, white text, brand color, feels distinctive. Brand color. White text matches primary buttons in header. Signal it's a destructive irreversible action. Yeah, let's keep it simple. Have the same. Cancel button, ghost, transparent background, border text, light gray background, dark gray text. Yeah, let's go for that one. Multi-level questions again. 5 different options. Card itself, overlay behind the model card. And then we have standard dim, heavier, more focused on model. Yeah, standard dimming, and then we have model card background, pure white, same as the edit panel. So let's be consistent. Model card border radius matches button. Yeah, keep it consistent. Button layout inside the model. Cancel, continue, cancel. So confirm on the left. Now that standard web conventions is the other one. Yeah, let's go for that. Model width fixed, compact focused, a little bit more breathing room. Let's give it a little more. Okay, let's go for the next ones. So this is a sidebar item sizing and typography. I think this was the last one, right? Item height and padding, compact, comfortable, or spacious. Let's go for compact. Sidebar label font size. Small and quiet. Legible but not obtrusive. Bolder. Yeah, let's make it legible. Sidebar items, hover state. Subtle, half strength of active. Noticeable, clearly distinctive from active. Yeah, so subtle. Let's go for that. Okay, so now we have done all the important ones up here. Now we have 5. No, we have done the critical ones. Now we have 5 important. So yes. Yes. Continue. The line heights, front editor header, form, field styling, edit links, view, and inline error messages. Let's hope that they are quicker. So let's see here. Inline heights, tight headings feel monolithic, impactful. Standard heading, slightly more breathing room. Let's go for standard. Body title. Let's go for comfortable reading. Code block. Dense. Let's go for that. Next up, we have the editor header. It should be slim, standard app header, or tall. Let's go for a slim header. And then we have header content layout. Yeah, let's go for let's go for B, so the full title here. Generate new option. Small plain text link. A smaller button styled like a primary button but smaller padding. Yeah, let's go for that. I don't want a link for generate new. That would be wrong. Let's see. Now we have empty state. Then we have form position, centered, top main content area, left aligned, consistent with where the edit pane normally sits. Yep, let's go for consistency. Form container appearance, plain, no card, just a form fields. White card background, plain card. Generate presentation. No heading. Heading above the form. Sounds great. If that is a good description of what you're doing, it's always good to know which step you're in. And last one, space between slide title and body text. Tight feels like 1 unit, matches Python, clear separation, generous. I would say tight for this one. So they are kept together like 1 unit. So wonder if we're done now. Could this be the last update we are doing to the specification? So we have done critical, important, and nice to have. Specification is now implementation ready. Key additions are made to the specification: typographic, button styles, editor Chrome, reveal config, and slide layout. So this was what I wanted to cover today in this video. I hope that you found this interesting. I hope that you learned something today. If you like this video, give it a like, share it with your friends and colleagues. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. And I really want to see you in the next.